Welcome back to Tales from the PowerAge. How you doing, guys?
Yeah, great.
All good, mate.
Well, we're glad to know. We're going to review 2024. We're going to look at our top albums of 2024. We're going to look at our top gigs from 24. We're going to look at our top events from 24. And then we are going to share our favourite pod from this year. But before we do that, please give us a subscribe. Get involved with the comments. Give us a like. And please ring the house bell. So let's kick off with, by the way, actually, before we kick off, let's just remember some of the stuff that's happened this year before we go into albums and stuff. It's been amazing. Right the way from January, where we saw British Lion, right the way through to Dirty Honey, Bruce Dickinson, Judas Priest, Saxon, Scorpions, Chris Shiflett, Slash, Chris Barras, Dear Matrona, Black Crows, AC/DC. Oh my God, what a year. It's been absolutely amazing. And finishing off the year with Royal Republic, Blackstone Cherry, Mike Monroe, Slipknot, some festivals chucked into that as well. We had Love Rocks Festival covered. We had Nozfest covered. We had 2000 Trees covered. We also had Status Quo's last ever gig covered as well. I'm going to tell you all about all of that over the next 4.5 hours. You'll be glad to know. Probably won't be that long. So let's kick off with albums. Yeah, so Gav, I'm going to come to you first. You give me your rundown of your top 5 albums of this year.
Well, okay. Well, it started off as a really strong year. This being probably in most of our favourites. I mean, what a band. What an album.
I only got the CD.
Oh, dude.
So,
Phil's got the signed insert.
There's the lovely purple version. I've got the red version. I should
definitely be getting the vinyl, but I haven't got it yet.
So that's number 1. And similarly sounding, you'll never guess why.
Yeah, we've all got that.
Yeah.
Similar production values, and we don't care because it sounds bloody brilliant. And this, I guess this is even more surprising for me, just how brilliant it is. I like the last album, but I thought this one was bloody brilliant. I got one with a little signed doodah with it, which I must frame at some point because it's so epic.
Oh, you got to love a signed doodah.
Yeah. Hellfire and Damnation, classic in every respect. And we were debating whether this came out this year or not, but I'm pretty sure it did. This is South of Salem.
Hi, I'm Cody Casper from the band South of Salem, and you are watching and listening to Tales of the PowerAge.
I think it was January.
Yeah.
Time version, blue vinyl. And it's brilliant. The first album, as you all know, we raved about last year and we love. And they've done a fine job with their next album, I think. Really good, really strong. The drumming is fantastic on this album. And I guess a slightly more mature approach to the songwriting, but equally fierce. Hoping to catch them again live.
Yeah,
soon.
The new drummer's definitely taken it up a notch. I mean, I love the old drummer. He's brilliant. And he's still involved with the band, old Pip. But
they're doing a lot of road work, aren't they? And I know they've got another tour next year, so hopefully we'll all get down and see them. And hopefully more and more people will get to know them and support them. I know it's tough for new bands at the moment, financially, and so let's all support these young bands and even ones that aren't young.
Saxon ain't young.
Which is a nice segue into the next album, I'm guessing.
Hey.
Oh, no, it's not. There you go.
So there you go. Collateral.
I'm Jack from Collateral, and you're watching Tales from the PowerAge.
Well done, guys.
Obviously, we've got a bit of an affection for these guys. We've interviewed them, and long before we interviewed them, we'd all seen them, and especially Gappy and Jam, seen them loads of times before we interviewed them. And it's a cracking album. Sounds brilliant.
It certainly is.
Yeah.
Doesn't have help us, doesn't it? Doesn't have help us in our job of bringing awesome metal to people when there's people like Collateral that are making awesome metal. It's a great record, really good.
Yeah. How many have I done? Anyway, I'll do one more because it's very poignant. Very sadly, this was the final album from Magnum with Tony Clarkin. Bless him. We found out very shortly before the album came out that he'd passed. Very unexpectedly, very shocking. We are going to do a nice Magnum episode very soon, so you can look forward to that. But it's a cracking album, cracking cover as well from Mr. Rodney Matthews. But yeah, had to get a mention. And it's if you haven't got it, for God's sake, go and buy it and support the tour they're doing next year as well. We'll be there. KK Steel Mill, come and say hello.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
Badge. I think that was 5. If it's not, that'll be me.
Well done, Gav. I think there might be some reoccurring vinyls coming up there. So, Jam, I'll come to you.
Yeah, well, I had. I'll only show ones that weren't in Gav's, so that's a little bit of it left field. Brand new band that I found, Visions of Atlantis. Absolutely love them. Cracking record. Bit of symphonic power metal. My record of the year from my band of the year, The Treatment. Absolute stonking album. Waking Up Neighbours. So yeah, if anyone hasn't heard this yet, listen to it, buy it, support.
It's really good.
These are one of those bands that have been around forever.
What a fantastic live band they are.
Superb. If you haven't, I'm sure most people that watch this are going to have seen them.
Gav's Christmas meals been cleared out.
You can't move without bottles going off.
Brilliant.
Yeah, Treatment. And this may or may not be the right time to just stick a reissue in there.
Yeah, go on. Okay.
But this Iron Maiden.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Got
the Zoe Trope version.
You have to get the vinyl out because it's incredible.
I've got a load of reissues to talk about as well, but I'll do that later.
Okay. Well, we can leave that.
There you go.
I was going to say it's just this, and I'm hoping that you'll be saying the 1976, the Thin Lizzy reissues. So yeah, we got that.
It does look brilliant. It's amazing.
It is.
Great
It's absolutely awesome.
and great value as well, considering how much most new vinyl
Massive
costs.
fan of reissues unless it brings something else to the party. I think it helped that my Power Slave is absolutely worn out. My original, whatever I bought it the day it came out, sort of thing.
Yeah.
So that assisted. That is it's a beautiful piece.
Yeah, that one's never going to get played again now that we got this one.
No.
I'll just play the new one. It's brilliant.
Yeah, but yeah, they're my albums that weren't in Gav's top 5.
Okay, cool. Gappy?
Yeah, again, if we're going to go down that road, I mean, there's only a couple that haven't. Well, actually, I've got 3 that haven't been mentioned. I mean, I've got to mention the Mighty Massive Wagons with Earthly Grace. What a fantastic record this is. I think for me, I mean, I love Triggered, but this one is much better in my opinion. Better production. There's great guitar solos. Everything about it is brilliant. The lyrics are brilliant. I mean, the lyrics are great on this album. It's fantastic. Yeah, but and I've got another one which no one's probably ever heard of apart from me, which is Sonata Arctica. It's their latest album this year. Back to their power metal roots on this one.
I like that.
And they're the band which really, really got me back into heavy metal after a bit of a hiatus in 2004. I'd never heard of them before then, and I bought everything. I've got everything they've ever done, and I saw them in 2004 when they were touring Reckoning Night, which is the best album they've ever done, in my opinion. Everyone needs to go and buy that. It's one of the greatest heavy metal albums of all time. Is that funny?
Yeah, because none of us have ever heard
I'm sorry. You best go and buy one of their albums, didn't you?
None of us have heard.
Almighty.
None of us have
anyway.
heard of them. But you're just telling us about this 20-year history. We were like, what the heck? I'm sure they're awesome, and I want to get into them.
Anyway,
if anyone else
wearing a T-shirt.
Put a comment.
That side, there it is. Scarlet Rebels.
Didn't that come out this year?
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah, well done.
It's not the greatest cover you'll ever see in your life, but
No.
it tells you who they are anyway. You know who they are by the cover, but it is their best record.
Yeah,
They've had the earache treatment. They've come out on earache on this album. Me and Jam have seen them.
Yeah.
Christ knows how many times now. We've met them as well. All great lads. Brilliant band from Wales, and that is their best record.
Yeah.
And it is my number 1 album from this year.
Wow.
Blimey.
Okay, good. All right, well, that's me.
Yeah, listen then.
There's a couple I think you've already mentioned. So in number 5, this one no one has mentioned actually. This was
I haven't listened to it yet. So
yeah, it's amazing, and there's a nice signed copy to me, and Gav's got one to him, I think.
Yeah, some very generous guy called Dill got it signed for me.
Yeah, I was lucky enough to meet Bruce again. First time I've met him since 1986, which I reminded him of, which of course he was delighted to hear.
He was.
After being up all night doing the tours. Yeah, so really, hey, listen, if you're not listening to that album, it's really good. It's a real surprise, actually.
It's really good. It's a real grower.
Yeah, super album.
You got this as well. Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah, I've got one of those over here. And a patch as well, somewhere. Next one for me, Blackberry Smoke. These are such a great band. Obviously, Britt passed away, bless him. Gappy and I went to see him earlier in the year.
One of the best live bands you'll ever see, people, without a doubt.
Absolutely superb. I was lucky enough to meet them at the I met them before, actually, at Rambling Man many years ago, six years or so ago. But met them again doing an acoustic show at the HMV in Oxford Street. If you've never been to one of those, right, it's 10 quid, buy the CD, you get in. It was incredible. It was amazing. What a night that was. Played for just over an hour. Yeah, real great memory from that kid. Great album. Already mentioned that one, Gav. So there's my signed insert, look, which is cool. And we'll talk about the gig, I'm sure, as we go through. So that's a red one. I've got a purple one as well, somewhere, and a CD somewhere, which I didn't realise they had when I was searching all this stuff out. Saxon as well. This is a real, this is a great... yeah,
it's a brilliant album.
It's a great foot tapper, right? As heavy metal albums go. Again, it's really, really good. We're really on top form at the moment, which I think...
And as I think me and Jam will both attest, they're so much better now than they ever were in the 80s.
I wouldn't necessarily say that, but for me personally, Strong Arm and Law, Denim and Leather, Steel, Wheels of Steel are just iconic heavy metal albums. But this is a great album, right? So
it's good time.
My final offering is my favourite album of the year, and this is the one I've listened to most this year.
I know what this is going to be.
I know you do, because I haven't stopped banging on about it, and it's absolutely super. So this is the Black Crowes.
Yeah, I knew it was going to be that.
15 years, and
absolutely awful cover, but hey ho.
Doggy do.
The record is absolutely brilliant. It's absolutely super brilliant. I listen to it all the time. I travel quite a bit, so I'm going into London quite a bit on the train, and I've always got this on in my headphones, listening away, tapping my foot, singing away to it. Lucky enough to see them, which we'll mention when we go to some of the gigs that we've been to this year, and that was some event as well. But this is Grammy nominated for the best rock album of the year. I think this will win it personally, but that's my personal view. It's a brilliant album. Go and get it if you haven't got it. So there's our review of the albums released this year. Do you want to go through some of the reissues, guys? Do you want to pick up some of those? Oh, you've already mentioned Maiden.
Let's do that now. Yeah,
some of the reissues. I'll go and pick a Maiden one up as well. Gav, do you want to kick off?
Yeah, I just had a couple. The aforementioned Lizzie, 76, which is quite an unusual idea of just putting two albums that came out the same year in a single box. But there's plenty of other bands that could do that. Saxon, Priest, Kiss,
Motorhead.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the bands back in the day used to do 2 albums a year. God bless them, and tour. But this is great. I mean, this took me ages to get through, because there's so much content on there. And it's not like a live, like the Live and Dangerous or the UFO, where there's millions of concerts. So you do get through it, but not with the same enthusiasm that maybe you'd get through this. Totally recommend it. It's bloody brilliant. And if you've got the Live and Dangerous, it matches sidewise. The
redone version of Running Back it's just mesmerised me this year. It's been a massive year for me, Thin Lizzy wise. Obviously, we'll come on to why a bit later on when we're chatting. But I've had such a major reconnection with Phil and the boys through our pods as well. It's awesome pods. So
I didn't realise it. So it's got Johnny the Fox on it as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
I didn't realise that.
That's the middle element.
They put them together.
Cool.
It's brilliant.
But they've done like acoustic versions and as a remaster and a remix, I think, of the albums.
Yeah.
Some of the, I think generally the remixes are great, but they've added some vocals and some other bits that sometimes don't work. Like in Emerald, where he starts rattling on about Ethiopia and stuff.
Yeah.
Doesn't work, because I assume, I have always thought Emerald's just Ireland, completely takes me back to Irish history and everything Irish. And then he starts rattling on about other countries and continents even.
Yeah.
It doesn't work, but it's interesting to hear.
I've never found a reissue, a package like that so interesting. And there's so many that come out. I know you love them, Gav. You're so into the extra 40 tracks that may come out with a reissue, but this one actually totally galvanized me. It's very interesting, really good.
And on a similar note, a man we're going to see next year.
Damn straight.
Aylesberg. He has done a brilliant range of these super deluxe box sets. All of them, what Fish is like. Thousands of word essays in.
That looks like a book.
Yeah, it is. It's like almost all of his albums have been given this treatment, and there's Blu-rays, and there's look at the size of this book.
Oh, it is a book. It is a book with some CDs.
So, yeah, and I know he's closing his shop after the tour, so people go to fishmusic.scot and pick them up while you can, because when they're gone, they're gone, and they're brilliant value.
Wow, that's what I say to my kids when I take them to the arcade. When it's gone, it's gone. And I'm out. Anyway,
You're full of 2p's.
Any more from you, Gav, or is that your offering?
Well, there's kind of a issue, which is it's not the issue. That, I won't talk about it too much now because it comes up again later with something else.
Okay, cool. Jam?
No, that's me.
You done? Okay, cool. Gaps?
No, I've got no reissues, mate.
Okay, I've got a couple. I've got the Dr. Feelgood box set, which is quite good. There's a whole bunch of live stuff on that as well. So look at the size of that. Okay. So that's pretty cool. But they also did another one with the singles, which I think is even quite funky because you've got all of the whole album. I'll just open this up. It's quite nice on different coloured singles. So there you go. So there you go. It's quite nice with the elastoplast and all the little singles. I'll show you one of those actually because they're all different colour, which is quite cool. I don't know if I'm being wrong here, but that girl looks like David Roth in the corner there. Anyway.
I reckon she does, mate. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, look. So they're all different colour. I think it's a nice little thing. This, and there weren't many released.
It's a great box set. It's
not many released in the UK. I like this. Is a cool one as well. This is Motorhead live at Download in 2008. I was at this gig, and it was the year that Kiss played and did a live 35. But it was a really great show actually, which is pretty cool. The Maiden Somewhere in Time. So the other guys have shown that one. The thing about this one, you got this amazing. You can't really see the 3D on it. It's a bit difficult.
You can see it flashing around, but you can't make it out on this camera.
And that's on yellow vinyl. So where I was saying, where you'd say go and get the Power Slave because it's such great value. This is really expensive. I've got no idea why. This was like 20 quid more. For these.
Yeah, that's just why we didn't get it.
Yeah. That's why us three didn't get it.
Yeah.
Just a couple of other things to mention. AC/DC, of course, re-released their whole back catalogue with the exception of one album. Put it in the comments if you know the one they didn't re-release. Interestingly, I don't know what you could guess what. I don't know why officially, but of all of the re-releases, look, you've got the nice inner insert. The inner covers are pretty cool. So you remember back in the day, they were just the white inners on the original, and then of course you got the gold vinyl, PowerAge, which is great. So Angus was obviously delighted to go and get all of those again. So
I'm sure he was. Well, his bank balance was anyway.
Yeah, exactly. So that's pretty cool. But it's nice to have all of those. And there were another two that we mentioned on another podcast. I'll just show one of those really quickly, and that's TNT, which Gav brilliantly told me at the. I've got the Aussie original version of this, but it was nice to get the reissue. And what's nice about this is this was the misprint one that's been copied with a sticker on, which is pretty cool. And for those of you who don't know, on the originals, obviously this isn't the original, but it's a copy of an original. On the originals, you used to have the little roo. So if you can see there's a little kangaroo. So that denoted on those early AC/DC presses a first press, which is great. But really pleased to own that. So they did two of those. The original High Voltage and TNT, which were the first two albums released in Australia on Albert's.
And they were only available at the pop-up shop, weren't they?
That's right. Yeah, and having been around a few shows this year, you couldn't get them in most places. Only at Camden, where we were, which I didn't go to, and Gav did. So thank you.
I wish I bought 10 of both of them.
They might be worth a few quid.
Yeah, worth a lot. Yeah.
Okay, well that's the reissues. Let's go on to the gig of the year. So what were your gigs? What were the ones that really stood out for you? I know we've all been to loads of gigs and festivals and various different bits and pieces this year. So Gaps, I'll come to you first.
Priest Saxon for me, without a doubt, without a shadow of a doubt, absolutely superb. Saxon were awesome. Priests were amazing. And the last time I'd seen Judas Priest was on the Nostradamus tour, where they had the black curtain at the back because they couldn't sell it out. So it wasn't very good. The album wasn't very good. They played a load of good stuff, but they were trying to play songs off the new album, which really didn't go down well with the crowd. And I mean, you could tell because the black curtain was down at, there's probably in about 6,000 there. So, but this time it was absolutely rammed. And obviously it helped having Saxon with a brand new album out, being the support band. I don't think Saxon blew them off the stage. Jam might say they did.
No.
I don't think they did. Did you think they did? No, they didn't, did they?
Fairly even.
But everything about that night was absolutely amazing. Saxon played all the classics, and they played some of the greatest songs off the latest album. Yeah, it was brilliant. That was definitely my number one gig of 2024.
Okay, cool. Any other standouts?
Oh, you mean okay? Right. So Scarlet Rebels would have been next. Another great band. Me and Jam love them. Milton Keynes, Crawford Arms, brilliant gig. We met them again, and we also went along there and we met up with Gary Moat from Heavy Petting, who we'd done an interview with, and we had a few drinks with him, and he'd come down from Northampton to check out the Rebels. I got a lovely picture with him and Gary, the drummer from Scarlet Rebels. So I got two Garys, both drummers, and that's a great picture. Blackberry Smoke, Hammersmith, number 3 for me. I went with Dill. The other guys don't really do Blackberry Smoke, but me and Dill absolutely love them, and they were superb that night. And it's Hammersmith, for God's sake, and it's so good. I mean, after Brixton had been shut down for a while, all these bands now going back to Hammersmith is really cool. And also I've got Arch Enemy at Hammersmith. Again, I'm on my own with these guys. Melodic death metal, absolutely superb. Place was rammed, moshing. I've never seen so many people actually go over the barrier and come back in. And in fact, I saw one guy, he went over the barrier at least 5 times and came back and straight in again, straight over, crowd surfing. It was just so brilliant. I took my daughter to that one. And my final one would have been AC/DC in Dublin. It was a good show. It was a good show. But we'll mention it again later, I'm sure.
Probably.
Cool. Jam, what were your top gigs of the year?
The Treatment, as I mentioned, Treatment made it massive for me. I caught them at the headline Nozfest and Knox Festival that I went to, and they were superb. Priest with Saxon, and we know I'm massive Saxon, but Priest were immense. I can't get over how the difference between, as Gav said, when we previously saw them and when we saw them this time around. They were so good. And I think for me, we'll talk about it, but the fact that we got to see them do their first ever Q&A session at the Prism in Kingston, which you can catch on the live channel, on our main channel. But Saxon were great, but the production, and Priest gave a lot over to Saxon as far as production is concerned, but the production that Priest had, and the fact that I made it down to the front row and they were so good, I love it. Scorpions, is that the last time I'll ever see them on these shores? Probably yes, I'm pretty sure. They were superb, and that was brilliant for me. Enter Shikari, I know we're going a bit young here, but one of my favourite bands, Enter Shikari. This year I've been to Wembley Arena, and they charge more per drink than you could fill your car up with petrol probably for a similar cost. I don't know. But catch some of our pods. We've had some great nights this year at Wembley Arena. So yes, they're ripping us off. They're rinsing us for our cash. However, the music and the bands they're providing are so good. And Enter Shikari, I saw them and I heard them and I watched everything about them. The sound was second to no gig I've been to this year, and that's at Wembley Arena. It was brilliant. Blew me away. It was in April, and I was having a tricky start to the year. And I'll be honest with you, Enter Shikari lifted me out of a real massive slump, and they pushed me on it. Brilliant. And again, Frank Turner, we know that Gappy loves this melodic thrash metal. I've got a bit of a tendency towards the folk punk side, and I caught Frank Turner in Prague. So that was a really good gig, piling along to a club in Prague, and that was pretty special. So yeah, they're my top gigs for this year.
Okay, cool.
Nice one, mate.
Gav?
Quite a few of the ones that have been mentioned already. So yeah, definitely AC/DC in Dublin. That was great from a camaraderie point of view as well as the gig. And what else was there? Yeah, I think I just have to agree with the Priest Saxon. It was not only Priest and Saxon, but as we've mentioned before, we went to a pub beforehand and met a load of our favourites who were like loyal Tales from the PowerAge fans, and we had some ales from the PowerAge, and that was brilliant. It was so good to see everyone and to know
that was immense, wasn't it?
Connecting in some way,
very heartwarming.
Yeah, so that was definitely the highlight on so many levels. The Priest and the Saxon, and to see Saxon in Wembley, which they said they hadn't played before, was like, oh really? That's fantastic, And Brian Tatler as well fitted in so well.
Oh, he's been great, hasn't he, for the band? Some of the solos he's done on the latest album are brilliant.
Mine as well. Any more, Gav, or was that you for live gigs for the year?
Well, there's a couple of events that are just kind of weird that I thought.
We'll come back to the events. We'll come to the events in a minute.
All right.
Bit for a minute. So, okay. So I've been to loads of gigs this year. The first one that was a real standout and was British Lion in Margate, and Steve was fortunate enough to give me that. And I also got a signed photo with him, or like signed drawing with Simon Dawson, the new drummer of AC/DC. I made it.
AC/DC.
I'm on the bloody brain. That was a good gig. I saw Dirty Honey at the Electric Ballroom, which was brilliant. The signed album was there as well, which is quite difficult to get hold of. It's quite rare. I guess probably the tour for me is, if you've ever watched these before, I'm like a bit of AC/DC. I've managed to catch them 5 times on the Power Up tour this year. Amsterdam, a couple of nights at Wembley. Had a brilliant time with Jam and a couple of the boys in Bratislava, of all places. What a weekend that was! Fantastic. And then finishing off with all of us in Dublin, which again was an amazing weekend. Great time. Had by all. That was absolutely fantastic. A couple of other gigs to mention. Limp Bizkit, they were bloody brilliant. The crowd were mental. Slipknot, absolutely incredible. That was just a week ago. Just the crowd going nuts. But also Chris Barris, we've seen him a couple of times again this year. Never lets you down. He's a really great guitarist. Absolutely brilliant. The other one I wanted to mention was Slash and Wolf Van Halen, Mammoth at Wembley Arena. If you've never bought a ticket from Twicket, I'd really encourage you to do that. So I managed to get my ticket for about 40 quid, I think, and I only decided to go, I think, a night or 2 nights before. Bought the ticket, went on my own, down the front. It was great. I've got some Wolfie plectrums as well, which was amazing. Really, really loved that. Slash was amazing, as you'd expect. Miles Kennedy, absolutely brilliant. So that was a great show. But it's always good when you get down the front and it doesn't cost you an arm and a leg, which is always good. The other gig I wanted to mention was the Black Crows, and again, this was one I was reticent to go because the ticket price was quite a lot. I think it was over 70 quid a ticket for Hammersmith Odeon, which is quite a lot, which it seems the norm at the moment. And again, this was
unless you're Man of War.
Yes, which is over 100. So we'll be picking those tickets up for 50, probably the day before the gig, I'm guessing. So we'll wait on that one. Yeah. Either way, this was a real treat to go. I've seen them loads of times over the years, and they can be a bit, with the Black Crows, they can be amazing or not amazing, right? But they were amazing. Jimmy Page was stood at the side of the stage. I was right at the front. There's a couple of videos on our live channel. I think one's had about 50,000 views, and it's had 50,000 views because Steve Tyler came on at the end and made his last ever live appearance, as we know now that Aerosmith have folded. So you really want to check that out. That was a That was a super gig. So I just feel really blessed this year to have been to so many amazing concerts. It's just been absolutely brilliant. And just one final shout out to Mike Monroe, who I saw with CJ Wildheart as well the other night, and got a couple of plectrums from that as well. And good old Sammy Yaffa of Hanoi fame, bless him. So
just to wrap up on the gig side, if I can just say,
yeah, go on, Jeff.
If anyone happens to be watching this, the Crawford Arms in Milton Keynes, that's our nearest independent music venue, and it's the Dogs, but it's brilliant. Support it. I went down to see Chris Barris with Dill at the Booking Hall in Dover. Fantastic venue. And of course, these venues are struggling big time. But anyone that says, "Oh, there's no good music out there," or gigs are too expensive, if you're anywhere near either of those two, or you must have if you've got an independent music venue near you, look up, see who's playing, have a look on YouTube at the bands that are playing, pick a name that sounds decent, look at them, go and see them, because you can go and take in a great night of whatever your version of metal is you love for 10, 15, 20 quid plus a pint or so.
It's about 15 quid, isn't it, MK?
Yeah.
Mainly.
So, these guys need our support, don't they? They really do.
Absolutely, mate. Yeah.
And I thank you to the Crawford Arms, basically, Milton Keynes.
Yeah, me too.
And what I would say, just most bands, I'm guessing would endorse this. If you can buy their merch online, buy it online. The stuff you can't often buy online, that's the signed stuff. But the albums come out, buy them online, buy the T-shirts online, because often the venues hit with a 25% surcharge, and it's just taking money out of the band's pocket. So we support everything that you guys can do to support those bands, and you're absolutely right, champ.
Yeah, cheers.
Okay, so that's gigs of the year. So let's go to event of the year. Gappy, I'll come to you. What was your event of the year?
AC/DC at Dublin. Easy.
We had a good time, didn't we?
Oh, it was amazing. Absolutely amazing. The whole weekend was just absolutely brilliant. It was top class.
He said to me, I wish I hadn't drunk so much the day before the
I was so looking forward to going and having my first ever pint of Guinness not my first ever pint of Guinness, but my first pint of Guinness in Ireland, because everybody says, "Oh, it tastes so much better. It tastes so much better when you're in Dublin." I did, yeah, and it was no different whatsoever to any other pint of Guinness I'd ever had. Absolutely disgusting. Anyway, there you go.
Well,
but we drank a lot more than just that one pint of Guinness, and Dill took us to a few shady spots on the first night. There was a couple of salubrious bars that we actually ended up at, and
you should have been in Bratislava.
Salubrious bars.
One of the best. There was this Irish guy doing some tracks at the end of the night where we ended up, and he wasn't a big fan of the English, and he kept on saying, "This one's for the tourists. I'm not going to do it in an Irish accent. There's no point." But to be fair, he shook my hand at the end of the night, and he absolutely loved it. And what a great weekend! And Croke Park, if no one's ever been there, as a venue, is absolutely awesome. But getting out afterwards is
awful,
rather difficult.
Oh God, yeah, because me and Tom caught a bus. Didn't we manage to get on a bus?
Rather difficult. They only opened one gate, and everyone had to go through it from every section of the stadium. It was mental.
We had to walk for what was it, an hour and a half?
I had completely forgotten that. Now I've just
we saw a guy have a heart attack on the side of the road. Do you remember that?
Yeah, no, it was chaos. Absolutely,
Jesus, it was dreadful. Absolutely dreadful. Yeah, Dill managed to get a bus, and we still only got back about 10 minutes after he did.
I didn't care though. I was sat down.
We walked the whole way.
Brilliant. Well done, Gav. Sorry,
just finish on the Dublin bit. I know I mentioned earlier. We've been to Ireland, and we all together, all of us. We went the day before, and it was gorgeous. It was lovely, and we went to the Phil Lynott statue. And,
How immense was that?
I didn't know how it was going to work, and I didn't feel that much when I was with the statue. But some of the graffiti that we found, the
graffiti
down by the bars.
You really connected with that, didn't you?
Yeah, I know. It really got me going. And it was really.
Jam was here.
It was awesome. It was so cool. That, I think, alongside the fact that everyone that I met there was awesome and friendly and lovely. Then we had to go to we had to watch the football. Gaps
Oh yeah, what an amazing night that was!
And we were drinking quite a lot, and it was full of the wrong United. There's another United team other than Oxford. Manchester United were playing, and the whole bar was full of Irish Man United fans, which is cool. And we had one of the little TVs with Oxford
with the biggest big screen I've ever seen in my entire life.
And these guys, so
we had one screen above the bar.
Yeah, literally. We had a great night, and everyone was so kind and really awesome. It's really great. So everyone that we met in Dublin, they say it's really friendly. It so was. And yeah, so that's all I want to just shout out to all the Dubliners. They're brilliant, really awesome.
We had the perfect situation of AC/DC family, which are, everyone knows they're nice. And a lot of these older bands have folks like us that just don't want any trouble and just want to have a few beers. But AC/DC fans are particularly nice and particularly international as well.
Yeah.
And then you've got the Irish that are famous for their hospitality. It was a bloody good combo.
Yeah.
And we chose wisely. And it was the end of the tour as well. So it was, Brian said 4 words rather than 2.
Yeah.
He actually spoke, didn't he?
He did speak.
He actually did a little bit of a speech. It was amazing.
He said quite a lot, because not only did he thank the support band and thank the crew,
he did that as well, yeah.
He was also bitching about his inner ear, his monitors, and he was like, shit.
He can bleep that out.
And he was complaining about his inner monitors, and he went, shit. So that was hilarious.
Cool.
He soldiered on like a trooper, like he always does.
Yeah, he did. He's a great guy. Gav, any thoughts on your event of the year?
Yeah, just a couple of weird ones. Not necessarily the best events, but weird. Going to the cinema to see Rock. I went twice this year. I went to see Queen do Rock Montreal, and that was so loud, and the bass was so thumping. And imagine what a cinema sound system can do. It was really cool. And then fast forward a couple of months, Ghost, same thing. So went to see the Ghost movie in the cinema, and that was interesting. The show was great, but had it kind of interstitials of the kind of what he puts on as films on the website. I don't know if it made it better or worse. I was hoping when the DVD came out, or the Blu-ray, that there'd be a version where you could just play it without those interstitials, because he goes backstage basically and has a chat with his ghostly parents and whatever. But he does that at some good points in the show, like guitar solos and explosions and stuff. And you think, no, I just want to see the show.
Yeah.
So I thought they'd do a version on the Blu-ray that you could just watch the straight show, because his favorite live video ever is Live After Death. So, there is a benchmark for not breaking it up with silliness. Anyway, it's a great show. It was a good experience in the cinema, and if more bands do that, I'll be there. I think it's quite a cool thing.
Cool, brilliant. Cheers, Gav. Jam?
I touched on it briefly earlier, I think. Status Quo, Vivry Park in Taunton. It was the Friday after we'd been to Dublin, so I was like, me and a friend of the pod, Flotty, and we're like, Quo are doing a gig, and it's a proper gig, and they're probably not going to tour again. So we just got in there, got tickets, and it was immense. We went to Taunton, bit of a drive, and they were superb, and it felt so good. I think everyone that was there, there's like 5,000 odd people there. It was a balmy Friday night. Everyone that was there, I think, could feel it, that this is probably it. It probably won't be another show, not an electric show, and it was just brilliant, and it felt so good. It's been a lot of that feeling this year. I know, like we were all ramped up there with AC/DC, Catching Priest being so amazing again, and you're like, this could just carry on. And the Scorpions, it was quite a year this year for making sure that you got off your arse and went and caught some of these massive bands that have been in all of our lives, all of our, for years, 30, 40, 50 years, 30, 40 years. So yeah, Quo for me was the number one, but saying about Scorpions as well, I think, alongside some of the other trips. I've had 3 trips to Europe this year, and we haven't really mentioned it that much, but obviously Dublin. I went to Prague to see Frank Turner, but also the Bratislava weekend. What a great choice. 3 fantastic countries that I've not been to before. And I felt quite blessed to be able to do that with great mates. So yeah, Quo right up there for me, alongside the Bratislava weekend. Really, really cool. And Dublin. So yeah, they're my top events.
Nice one, mate.
All right, yeah, well done. Look, we had a great time. There's lots of pictures of us in Bratislava, and that was I mean, it was so hot. The weather was amazing. The beer was €150 or something. It was just you couldn't beat it. I mean, it just puts you in such a good mood.
Yeah.
You're having such a great time. There was nothing bad about that weekend at all.
Well, except for perhaps the karaoke by you.
Yeah, everybody else.
No, it's great.
I didn't think he made the karaoke.
It was brilliant. We had a great time. We had a really good time with that. Yeah, I mean, the whole AC/DC tour for me was probably my event of the year. Having been to Amsterdam, Bratislava, and Dublin, and the 2 nights at Wembley was just it was brilliant. Loved every minute of it. A couple of other shout outs though. We did the Q&A for Judas Priest, which I think you've already mentioned, Jam, at Kingston Prism. That was really good. I went to the Bruce Dickinson launch at HMV in Oxford Street. That was great, having a chat with him, meeting Blackberry Smoke at HMV in Oxford Street as well. But another event I went to, which was really memorable for me personally, was I managed to get tickets to go and see Ronnie Wood's new art exhibition in Kensington in London at this random furniture shop. And I got there with Mrs. C, and we got out the taxi, and there were all the fans outside, the paparazzi, etc. And Ronnie had just gone in, and I came in, they were taking pictures of him in front of his art. Now, his art's really good, and of course the real art is much bigger than the prints, etc. So he was having a couple of photos, and there were bars set up everywhere. I swear I've never had so much free champagne in my life. And I've been to a few things where there's free champagne. It was just ridiculous. It was amazing. And I got a drink, and we were stood there having a chat. And then Ronnie came over, run over, tapped me on the shoulder, cheers me with his glass. Cheers for coming, mate. I was going, that's Ronnie Wood. That's Ronnie Wood. It was brilliant. It was amazing. So it's just that was a lovely memory. And actually, just thinking back to all the great times that we've had this year at the gigs, whether that's Scorpions, Judas Priest, whether it's the AC/DC gigs, it's nice to have had a really fulsome and wholesome year seeing gigs and various other events. So that's quite emotional, that almost.
Well,
which takes us on to the next bit, which is our favourite podcast of the year. So I'm going to kick off for that, if you don't mind, because we talked a little bit about AC/DC, and that's a really good memory for me, seeing all of those gigs again that we went to, and particularly seeing Flotty on the speedboat from Vienna to Bratislava. So I love doing that. I also love doing the Collateral, where we met those guys outside the Cart and Horses in East London, and more recently CJ Wildheart, who's an absolutely super lovely guy, and what a great album that is. So again, that's one you should check out. So for me, they're my favourite pods this year. So, Gaps, what's your favourite pod of the year?
The one we did about Iron Maiden, Somewhere in Time, tour and album. Absolutely brilliant. Oh, it's amazing to do that. Absolutely loved it. And number 2 would have been the Marillion that we did. Misplaced Childhood. Absolutely brilliant again. 2 top pods. And my number 3 would have been the Twisted Sister one, mainly because that was the one I remembered most from the gig, and I did a lot more talking than I normally do on these things. And I loved all 3 of them, but the first 2 were just brilliant. Absolutely adored doing all of them.
Brilliant. Gav?
Yeah, they've all mine's been mentioned bar one, which is the best of the 80s, where we take a year and we go through the best albums in our opinion of each year of the 80s. If you haven't seen that yet, it's a labour of love. It takes a lot of research and a lot of putting together, but it's really popular, and we were really pleased with how popular it was, because we do try and look at not only what's going to be popular, but also what would be interesting, for people that are really deeply into the era like we are. And we try and strike a balance of what floats our boat with also what will be popular. And that seems to be both, which is really cool. And we did a best live albums of the 70s, which ticked both boxes as well, So, and I love the fact that we're kind of branching out into new things, with this, like the CJ interview was really cool, very different from some of the other interviews that are out there, and we're proud of that. And we've got loads of cool ideas for the next year coming up. We're not gonna stop. We're going to carry on, but we do need subscribers. So if you know anyone that if you've got this far and you haven't subscribed, you're obviously keen. Please subscribe. You know, we're going to carry on. If you like it, we'll carry on doing it. And you seem to like it, so thank you.
Brilliant. Thanks, Kev. Jam?
When I was looking back to the pods that we've done this year, and I reminded myself, actually, we did the killer albums. We covered 85 up to 89 in this calendar year, because they were massive, and we had so much fun with them. We just wanted to do them every week. Do you know what I mean? And great fun. And when we're deciding what we're going to do as a pod, it's great when it's not just us that enjoys it and everyone else enjoys it. They proved so popular. But again, we then branched off. We've done a few classic albums as well, not just killer albums, but classic albums, because we wanted to touch some of the things that necessarily wouldn't have cropped up otherwise. Did a great one on Van Halen's their debut album. Really well received Judas Priest album. But for me, we covered off Thin Lizzy's Thin Lizzy album as well, Black Rose. I love doing that. And Queen News of the World. So we're picking out some of our most favourite albums, and we're able to touch them. And that I enjoyed. But Marillion Gaps, you mentioned the Marillion, that was a cracking. Really enjoyed that. It's really put us in the mood, ready for Fish.
Damn right.
Yeah. But the Collateral one for me, I loved that. We spent a day at the Cart and Horses. We had refreshments, and we had met a few other guys there that we know really well. And then we met the band, and they were awesome. And they gave us a really good insight into the new album. Yeah. And when you hear someone talking with the passion that they were about the album, then they invited us along to the launch at the Underworld, and that was really great of them. Thank you, guys. It all just came together. It's such a strong album. And Collateral, another one of those bands that we really need to support and get behind, and really help them to push on, because they are worthy of it. Donington 1984 we covered, big one for me. It was my first Donington, and it was a big one. It really proved popular. A hell of a lot of people got into that, and it's great to share that with people. But my favourites were the Priest and Scorpions, the Priest and Saxon, and the Scorpions Tour Talk specials. They were so much fun to do, and we met so many great people, so many of our brethren. Really enjoyed them, and it tied in so well with our favourite moments of the year. Tied in with the pods that we were doing, and the time we spent doing them. So yeah, some real highlights on the pods this year.
Okay, brilliant, Jam. All right, well, before we go to what we're looking forward to in 25, and we'll do that in a couple of seconds. Huge shout out to Collateral again, so thank you. Burnout Rec, of course, who we supported and support us as well. So huge shout out to those, and of course CJ Wildheart as well. So thanks for all your support. Just be worth just shouting out some of the guys as well. So Leon, we've not mentioned you tonight, as always. You're a great mate to the podcast, a great mate to us as well. Russell, Sean, Gaps and I were with Sean in Hammersmith a few months back, and he's a great guy with his mates. Andrew, Linda, Gary, Roger, Carlos, and of course, who could forget Moshe Bear as well, who always comments first on anything that we do. So to all of you, thank you for getting involved. We really, really appreciate it. If I've missed anyone, you need to try a bit harder. And we can. Apologies. Okay, so let's just do a really quick round robin of what's the one thing. I know we've already got millions of gigs already booked for next year, but what's the one thing you're looking forward to for next year? Gav, I might guess what yours might be, but over to you.
Well, two really. Very early in January, we've got Magnum and Fish, but yeah, it'll be really emotional to go back to KK Steel Mill to see Magnum without Tony, because the last time I saw him and chatted with him was at that very place.
Yeah.
So looking forward to that.
Good. What was the other one?
Fish.
Sorry, I missed that. Apologies.
Fish and Aylesbury. That's January as well.
Okay, cool. Jam?
So many, but it's got to be Saxon at Hameo, isn't it? Saxon at Hammersmith in Apollo. Yeah, you've got a ticket.
Oh, good.
You've got your ticket. Yeah, that's way in the future in November. I'll have been to about 50 gigs by then.
You will.
We're all going to that. Everyone is here and watching.
Gappy?
For me, it'll be Iron Maiden.
Cool.
And I'm going to have to say Fish as well, because I've never seen Fish before. So
it's only one. One.
Well, Gav had two. It's good.
He does the edit. He does the edit.
Yeah, Maiden will be awesome next year, but Fish will be awesome also. And yeah, I'm gonna have to go 3, aren't I? Because
Well, I think the Ghost and Darkness will be pretty decent, but I might be wrong.
well, they will be, but I don't know if we're going to get past Magnum. To be honest, it's going to be so emotional. It's going to be it's going to be amazing.
Brilliant. Well, looking forward to all of those. But of course, I'm looking forward to going to see AC/DC in America for the first time. So I'm going to Plattsburgh, Massachusetts. Sorry for the terrible American accent. Look at that.
It was terrible.
It's really bad.
And I will be. And what nobody watching this knows that we're reminding the guys whilst they're tucking up to watch Antiques Roadshow or Coronation Street, I'm just reminding them that I'll be there at the gig. So I hope you enjoy that. Just probably turn your phones off or put it on mute because I'll be sending you loads of nonsense.
We'll be asleep.
I'm at a gig that night, I think.
You will be.
Anyway,
that's our highlights from 2024. A little bit about 2025. Look, for all of you who watched the pod and spent even a minute watching this, for all of you that have subscribed, liked, commented, got involved, or even come and had a chat with us at the gigs and had a beer with us, we really, really appreciate it. We're looking forward to seeing you all even more next year. And guys, you have a great new year. Speak to you soon. Bye.
Cheers.
Yeah.
thank you very much, everybody.